1, 2, 3. Woo! Test, test. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to do something a little bit different, said every content creator ever. It seems to me that the internet is creating a lot of hype around two particular concealers, and today I want to compare them. So the concealers in question are the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer and the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. Both are designed to be full coverage and long wearing and resist creasing, so I figured today I'm going to try them side by side and see how they perform. So I'm going to do it first impression style, show you the application and come back a few hours later and then we can see how it wears. It's not a first impressions because I have tried these concealers, but I've not compared them side by side, so maybe insightful for all of us. Let's talk about shade. I have been supremely fortunate to have received, I believe, the entire shade range in both of these concealer lines. So I want to take full advantage of this incredible opportunity and swatch them for you guys. So there are 14 shades in the Tarte Shape Tape range. There are only 13 pictures because I think I might have misplaced one, or maybe I never received it. I think it's called light medium. Derp. There is a pretty decent spread, so there's some pale shades available and also some deep shades. That said, I feel like there's some leaps in this range. So there are quite a few pale shades that are rather similar, and then as we move to the deeper spectrum, it kind of jumps around a little. It just feels a little bit incomplete to me. There are a few pink shades, but I'd say that most of these shades run quite yellow, quite golden. And like most liquid formulas, I do find that these tend to oxidize a little. Just keep that in mind when you're shade matching yourself in store. Give it 10 minutes to kind of settle and do its thing before you make any shade selections. The NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, let's just call it the Complete Concealer from now on. This one offers 16 shades. Again, we've got some really pale shades and also some deep shades. Bravo, love to see that. Unlike the Shape Tape, I feel like these shades really kind of melt into one another. There's no serious jumping around in depth. Also, NARS has some more pinky undertones and those salmony hues, more so than the Shape Tape. So if you like your under eye concealer to counteract your blue or your purple tones and act like a bit of a corrector, you have some options here. Based on my experience, I didn't notice that the NARS Complete Concealer oxidized at all, and I actually did compare the shade Custard in both the Radiant Creamy Concealer and the Soft Matte Complete Concealer, and to me, at least in this particular shade, they seem to correlate perfectly. So then if we put the swatches side by side, I think if you're on the paler spectrum, you're going to have more options in the Shape Tape line, and if you're on the deeper spectrum, I think you'll have more options in the NARS Soft Matte Complete Coverage Concealer. That's just to my eye. You guys can look at those pictures and make your own assumptions. So let's move on to application. For this side of my face, I'm going to use the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer. I'm just going to call it Shape Tape from now on. This is really starting to get on my nerves. I'm using the shade Light Neutral. It's a bit lighter than my actual skin tone, and I'm about an NC25 for reference. So this comes with a big doe foot applicator, and this is very saturated. So I find when I go in directly with the applicator, I always apply way more than I actually need. So I like to instead pop it on the back of my hand and then place it with a brush. So this way I just don't needlessly apply way too much product. So I've heard some people say that this formula can dry quite fast, or it can look a little bit dry under the eyes. I don't have that experience, and I'm actually quite dry skinned, but I'm not afraid of some emollient creams. Like I use a lot of emollient moisturizers in my skincare routine, so that could be a contributing factor. I'm actually applying this over quite a larger area than I would normally, but I really want to test how these concealers operate over different areas, so not just under the eye but also a little bit on the cheek or the side of the nose. A little bit more of a thorough review. I'm going to bounce that in with a beauty blender. So that's the Shape Tape in this region of my face, and it has great coverage. I would call it a full coverage product, but it's quite lightweight, so it doesn't feel thick and cakey. I've heard some people say that they can actually get away without setting this product with a powder. I would always set my under eye area, but I do agree it has like a great setting power. Okay, and on my left side, your right, I will apply the NARS Complete Concealer. Worth noting, this one has quite an interesting texture. So when you rub it between your fingers, you can feel a little bit of slip, that kind of silicone-y slip. It almost feels a little bit moussey in texture. Like dug my nail in there. Ooh, I don't like that feeling. I'm using the shade Custard this time. This is darker than the Shape Tape that I used on the other side, but the other shades that are a bit lighter than this one tend to run quite pink, and I wanted something a little bit more golden for this kind of large area. When I first received this, I thought that the concealer would be quite stiff, but actually it really glides on, like the brush doesn't drag on the skin at all. I'm going to bounce this again in with my Beauty Blender. I do think that this formula could look a little bit dry and crepey on some people. So I would recommend prepping and moisturizing the area really well before you apply. And actually, when I first got this, I asked you guys on Instagram, like, oh, what do you think about the new NARS concealer? And pretty much everyone said, can be dry, prep very well. I agree with you guys. So that's that side done, and again, another good full coverage concealer. You could probably build it beyond this, but I've just applied what I would normally wear. It is a full coverage concealer. It's not a no makeup kind of concealer, right? I would say this would be a good one if you like your full glam and you like your full coverage, because you can see product on the skin. It's not awkward in any way, but it's not invisible makeup, if you catch my drift. More often than not, I actually use solid concealers for like blemishes. So I'm actually going to try that today because I have this blemish on my temple. This hurts so bad when it cropped up. It's actually very difficult to conceal things on your temple because I can't see it. It does cover. It's no Kevin Aquan Central Skin Enhancer, but it does do the job if you're looking for that. Okay, I'm going to set both my under eyes with the Laura Mercier Translucent. I'm using this one today because I know a lot of people use it and they are familiar with it, so kind of want to limit the number of variables in this review so it's applicable to as many people as possible. So those are both sides of the face set, and at this stage, to be honest, they don't look terribly dissimilar. Around the crevice of my nose, that's considered like my problem area, and I feel like the NARS is not doing quite as well there. It just feels a little bit kind of makeup-y and dry. I've got a little bit of texture on my cheeks. I'm having some sort of weird rash situation, but I feel like both sides are doing relatively well on those bumpy areas. So it is currently 10:27, bit of a late start today. So I'm going to come back in a few hours and we're going to see how this wore. I am back. It is currently 4 p.m. So what is that? About 5.5 hours since I applied the two concealers. By the way, my lip color, in case you're wondering, it's the new Burberry Liquid Lip Velvet in the shade Dark Rosewood. I kind of like patted it on like a stain and I really like it. There isn't a whole heap to report at this stage. Despite it being really humid, I've been out and about, both of these concealers seem to be staying put. And when I touch the area, they're not like getting like moist or greasy or anything like that. They're still satin and set. In the under eye and cheek area, they both look pretty good. There is a little bit of like thank you, motorbike. There is a little bit of settling and creasing where my lash line kind of folds. That's what I consider to be normal and acceptable amount of wear for a concealer. The only difference that I'm noticing at this stage is around the crevice of my nose where I brought that concealer down. If I look really closely, the NARS side appears to be sort of breaking up and separating a little bit, whereas the Tarte Shape Tape appears to be skin-like and natural looking, I guess, at this stage. Although one thing I do notice is that on the side of my nose where I put the NARS, my pores appear to be quite smooth. There is some sort of smoothing effect that I'm not really getting on the other side. At this stage, I'm really happy with both, no real complaints, so I'm going to come back again in a few more hours for a final check-in and a final verdict. BRB. I am back for my final check-in. It is 6:32, so almost exactly 8 hours since I applied the two concealers. So if I look really closely now, I'm noticing a little bit more creasing around the lash line on the NARS side. And it also feels a little less set. Like I can feel a slight tackiness here that I can't feel on the other side. It continued to sort of separate around the crevice of the nose, whereas the Tarte side I think still looks really fresh. We haven't got any fading or shifting or anything like that. I am getting a little bit of that separation around the crevice of the nose. That's my problem area. But this side is definitely doing better than the NARS side. Okay, let's get a final verdict. My favorite of the two concealers is, drumroll, the Tarte Shape Tape. I'm not surprised about this verdict. It is my new favorite concealer. I like the Shape Tape because it's reliable on me. You know, it looks good pretty much every time I put it on. Whereas the NARS, for me, requires a little bit more finessing and a little bit more skin prep in order to look nice on my dry skin. So let's break it down into a list, because lists make me happy. The Tarte Shape Tape, some pros. It has really fabulous longevity and setting power. I feel like I don't have to apply that much powder when I use this. I can apply just the bare minimum and it still lasts really well. It does have really impressive coverage, but despite that, it doesn't look very makeup-y on my skin. Now for some cons, I think that the shade range is just a bit funny. It's just sort of jumpy, it kind of jumps around to me. Also, depending on your skin type and your skin prep and your tool, you might have to blend a little faster with this one because it does set down very well. Whereas the NARS, Soft Matte Complete Concealer, so some pros. It has a great shade range. The shade range really makes sense to me, and it's quite smoothing. So great if you're using it perhaps down the central portions of your face or onto your cheeks. It does have a smoothing effect on pores. Also, don't be concerned about it being stiff. I didn't find that it was stiff at all. Some cons. This one, I think, depending on your skin type again, it might require a little bit of extra finessing and that extra skin prep. Also, I'm going to say that this is probably better for sort of larger areas of the face. It didn't wow me on this blemish. It's just sort of meh, right? Any concealer could have done that. If you want to conceal blemishes, totes recommend the Kevyn Aucoin Central Skin Enhancer. That stuff is so bomb. I do think that this would perform a little bit better on the normal to the combo skin types. You probably wouldn't require as much skin prep as perhaps I do. So yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any requests, if you want me to compare to really hype products on the internet right now, then leave those suggestions in the comment section. I would love to hear, and let me know if you did like this kind of video. Also, if you've tried either of these concealers, tell us your thoughts in the comment section and also your skin type so that we can all read and be better informed and be better consumers. So yeah, I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Come say hello to me on Instagram. I would love to chat to you there. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Did I just say that? And I'll speak to you very soon. That's it. Bye.